President Cyril Ramaphosa says corruption is one of the main reasons for the lack of service delivery 27 years after democracy. Ramaphosa was addressing the main Freedom Day event in Botshabelo in the Free State. Senior politics reporter Zianda Ngobo is there. Zianda, a very good afternoon. What did the President have to say on this Freedom Day?
Well, in essence, Hugo, the President has reflected on the gains that have been made 27 years into this country's democracy, but also speaking quite frankly about the things that have not gone well. They're speaking about the corruption that we've seen over the years within the government, also reflecting on the abuse of public resources, and really the President making a clarion call to say that South Africans must exercise that hard-won vote, the ability to vote, that right to vote, I should say, in the upcoming local government elections. And really, Hugo, it was I think the undercurrent and the theme of the President's address today was to speak about the issues that the government is facing. And I want us to actually just take a listen to what he had to say, in particular when it came to public officials not doing the right thing.
It cannot be that 27 years into our democracy, that our people are being deprived of even the most basic services like water and sanitation because of poor planning, incompetence of some of us, mismanagement or corruption of some of us. It cannot be that access to housing, education and decent health care is being undermined because those tasked with service delivery do not care enough. Our people expect that those who have been tasked with the job of improving their lives should do just that. And they should not steal the resources that belong to our people and put them in their own pockets.
And there you have the President, Hugo. Of course, he has to address the issue of service delivery, malfeasance within government. Incompetence is the word that the President used to describe some of the issues plagued by the government. In essence, because in this province of the Free State, in particular this metro of Mangaung, there have been several issues that have been plaguing the community, in particular then when it comes to the delivery of basic services, water and electricity, which of course have not been delivered as a result of some of the things that the President has mentioned. And so on Freedom Day, what freedoms can South Africans really say they enjoy if they don't have the basic services of the promises that the ANC-led government made in 1994, still 27 years later have not been fulfilled?
Those government elections are a few months away, Zianda, so obviously pressure certainly on the ANC government.
Absolutely, and the President really saying if there are officials, regardless of which party they come from, and if they're not doing the right thing, if they're abusing public resources, vote them out. I think the President really trying to deal with the issue of voter apathy, which we've seen over the last two elections, both at national and local government elections in 2016, where especially the young voters just did not turn up at the ballot box. And so the President really emphasizing on a day such as this to say that the right to vote, as he described, is your weapon to address the issues that you may have with public officials. If they're stealing money, vote them out. If they're not actually heeding the calls that you're making as communities, vote them out. But make sure that you exercise that vote and that right at the ballot box to ensure that this country becomes better, not only because there's a heavy reliance on the government, but for you as a citizen to actually be a part of that process. And I think the President really really assessing the mood of the Botshabelo community, but also the country in general, I would say, Hugo, when it comes to a certain sense of despondency, if you will, that some might feel when it comes to this government. And you know, here in this province of the Free State, the National Council of Provinces has had to actually come here to deal with the issues faced, especially between the local and the provincial government officials, which is also part of the reason why then the delivery of services have been hampered. And you'll know that local government is the coal face of delivery. That is when the voter really gets to interact with the people that they voted for. So really the president saying 6 months exactly to the day there will be those local government elections, and calling on South Africans to actually go out and cast their vote and ensure that they're also part of the process of doing better, really.
Zian, I know you've been in the Free State since the first thing this morning. Have you had a chance to speak to some of the locals just to get a sense of where they stand, what their thoughts are after 27 years that we are celebrating today?
Absolutely. We have spoken to some of the locals, and I think, you know, when you have such a big event where you have the president coming to your town or village where you wouldn't ordinarily have the president, I think the reflections that we've gotten from some of those who were in Botshabelo were actually that they would have liked to have the audience of the president. You'll know that there was some drama really around the venue for where this Freedom Day would be commemorated, in the sense that initially it was touted to be held in Wynberg, and the community there had an uproar over the changing of the venue, because they too would have wanted to have the ear of the president, where they would have had an opportunity to raise the issues of service delivery that I've just highlighted to the president, where now they feel that both at a local and a provincial level they are not being heard, or if they are being heard, their issues are not being dealt with adequately. There was also at some stage a threat by a small group of businessmen in this province to try and disrupt the official commemorations that were held in Botshabelo, where they were saying that they wanted to raise the issue of, in essence, the collapse of the economy here in the Free State due to a lack of planning and administrative planning as well in this province, and that in fact a lot of spaces where they are meant to be operating have now been dominated by foreign nationals. And you will know that these undercurrents don't only then affect the economy, but they affect society, where you get violence in communities. And so when you talk about freedom, for some this freedom is not really a dream or an ideal that is attainable when you don't have electricity, when you don't have a job, when you don't have a home, or you're unable to provide for your family, or you've been unemployed for years. And so this is the atmosphere and the mood that I think the president also was trying to address when speaking about malfeasance, and actually having to attend to the failures of the government, and not just saying that this is a celebration of 27 years of freedom, but also in the 27 years there have been things that have been done by officials who are supposed to be using money in the public purse to address these issues that communities such as the one in Botshabelo have raised, and yet this still has not happened. And so there has to be some level of accountability, and the way to hold these officials and the government, and the ANC-led governments, accountable is at the ballot box at the very least, and to start off with.
And Azianda, finally, you talk about despondency, certainly from the people in Botshabelo in the Free State. But what is the significance of the president choosing, or certainly the party choosing, to celebrate Freedom Day in their province?
Well, of course, this province is the home province, especially in Mangaung, the birthplace of the African National Congress, which used to be the South African Native National Congress, which later then became the African National Congress. But of course, the theme for this year's commemorations was also the life and times of Charlotte Maxeke, who was one of the founding members of the ANC Women's League. And so this province of the Free State is rich in its history. When you look at the role of Charlotte Maxeke this year, the African National Congress has celebrated her in particular this month of April, and the theme is Charlotte Maxeke, Freedom Under COVID-19. And so that's part of the significance of coming to a province such as this one. But also then, you will know know that this province has many issues that need to be dealt with. We understand that the president on party level is going to be meeting with some of the regional structures within the ANC here in the Free State following the dissolution of the Provincial Executive Committee, following that Supreme Court of Appeal ruling. And then we saw then that disbanded chair Sam Mashinini and Ace Magashule tried to use the ANC name to actually take this matter to the Constitutional Court. And then a few days later then we saw that a statement was sent out by Paseka Nompondo saying that the pair had no mandate on behalf of the ANC to actually take this matter and appeal it at the Constitutional Court. So they're also, while this is the birthplace of the ANC cannot run away from the fact that this province is very troubled. It has an embattled, it has a Secretary General who hails from this province. He used to be the Premier of this province, and some of the problems at a governance level and at a state level, I should say, have been placed at the feet of Magashula's reign in this particular province. So there are many reasons why then I think the president deemed it important to actually come here to the Free State, and I'd assume that he's also doing an assessment of the general state of things here in this particular province.
Zianda Ngobo, senior political reporter, giving us a roundup really of her visit to the Free State, where the president was commemorating Freedom Day.